welcome. I'm Belle, and today we're going to be talking about what's the purpose of a teacher in the classroom and also the many types of teachers that exist. And if you are a teacher, please leave in the comments below what kind of teacher you are. But before we do that, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I put a new video every single Friday. And if you don't follow me on Instagram and Twitter, the link will be in the description down below. Also, turn on your post notifications so that you receive a video every time I post one, because YouTube sometimes forget to do that, even if your post notifications are on. So make sure that your post notifications are on so that you can receive a video. And again, follow me on Instagram, because especially on Instagram, because I post there every single day. I post a lot about education. So if you are a teacher or if you are a student, I post a lot of things for students too. So make sure that you follow me on Instagram too. I promise you won't regret it. So yeah, without further ado, let's go right into the video. Actually, before we start this video, I just want to say Merry Christmas, because today is December the 24th. So I just want to say Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah, or if you don't celebrate anything, I just hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful day and that you have a lot of fun today. So when we talk about the purpose of a teacher, it's impossible to talk about it without touching on the different kinds of teachers, because each kind of teacher has a different purpose. I'm sure that everybody has had a traditional teacher. So as far as I'm concerned, the purpose of a traditional teacher is to teach. But when we think about it, I'm sure that if you hear, okay, the purpose of a teacher is to teach, I'm sure that you won't find anything wrong. But what we have to think about, especially as teachers, is that teaching is different from learning. So if you teach something, if you do everything, if you prepare a beautiful presentation, all the moments, beautiful, well-rounded class, it doesn't mean that the students are going to learn. So that's why throughout history it started to be considered when teaching. For example, motivation, because if a student is motivated, there is a very high possibility that they will learn more, because they will participate more. The energy in class is really important. If your class is high energy and not boring, if the students are not restless, so the energy, the pace. So again, the pace is important so that the students again are not feeling bored or annoyed. Or it's also good for balance, because when you have a good pace with good linkers, the class will be more well-rounded, the moments so much better divided. So when we think about all of those things that, you know, with history they started to show their importance in class. So we have to consider all those things in order for the student to learn, not just teaching. So teaching is different from learning. And when we think about a traditional teacher, I've met a lot of traditional teachers who refused to change their ways. And that, honestly, that just made the students less motivated, or lose their energy, or feel restless in class, or even give up learning a new language, which is really, really sad. You don't want to do that. You don't want that to happen to you. So the purpose of a traditional teacher is teach. There are a lot of wrong things about it, because the purpose of a teacher, as far as I'm concerned, okay, because I'm not a traditional teacher, so I'm talking about from my perspective, from my point of view, because I'm a teacher, but I've had teachers throughout my entire life. I still have teachers because I still learn things. So when I love a teacher, when I'm learning a lot, when I feel motivated, energetic, when I love a teacher, I stop. I have the tendency to do this. Maybe it's because I'm a teacher, but I stop and think about what makes that teacher so good. Because it's not always like a fun teacher or the entertainer teacher. So when you think about, for example, when I think about my high school years, for example, I had a lot of entertainer teachers. So what I call an entertainer teacher is a teacher who wants to please everyone, who wants the class to be so much fun, and we all want to do that as teachers. I'm sure we want to do that, but we need a balance. We need to know the limits, we need to know the boundaries. We need to set a lot of boundaries, and we can't be afraid to do that. So for example, if you have a disruptive student, we have to know when it's time to set boundaries. We have to know all that, because I love my students, but they're my students, they're not my friends. And I feel like sometimes that gets lost in translation for some teachers, which is really sad and really inappropriate. So please do not treat your students as friends. I don't care if they're children, teenagers, or adults. That's really inappropriate. I never do it. I think it's not, we don't want to mix things up. I don't like that. And for me, the entertainer teacher is the teacher who wants to be so much fun. They want the students to have so much fun, to be so happy in class. But looking back, to my high school years, this kind of teacher is the teacher that I didn't like, to be completely honest. I didn't like the entertainer teachers because, to me, they were not there to teach. The purpose of the entertainer teacher was not to teach, and absolutely not to have the students learn something. The purpose of the entertainer teacher is to be the best friend of the kids. They want the students to love them. And usually these teachers, they want the students to love them so much that next term, when there is like a change of teacher, they want these students to talk to the principal, talk to the coordinator, the manager, whatever, to have them back, because they want the students to love them so much. And I don't agree with that. Again, as I said, I think that was very clear. So the purpose of the entertainer teacher is to entertain and for the students to have fun, and absolutely not to teach or learn. And that's really sad, because as I said, looking back, that's the kind of teacher that I didn't like. And all of my friends would love those entertainer teachers, and I didn't like them. And I was not a teacher's pet by any means. I was not the student who, loved homework. I was never a teacher's pet. But I didn't like when the teacher wasn't doing their job. So I still don't like that. I feel like the traditional teacher is in one end and the entertainment teacher is in another end. So they are like 0 and 100, the traditional teacher and the entertainer teacher. I feel like as teachers we need a balance. So we need to find the balance between the traditional teacher and the entertainer. However, considering other things, considering, for instance, motivation, empathy, have empathy for your students, energy, the energy of the class, the pace, the rapport of the class, so the harmony that you have with your students, that needs to be considered. And also consider the boundaries. So with all that said, what's the purpose of a teacher? Because I know that a lot of people, they don't even learn through a teacher. They learn by themselves. Like most of the English that I know, I learned by myself. So people can learn by themselves. People can learn from watching videos, through video games, through movies, through songs. So everybody has a different way to learn. But the end goal of a teacher should always be the same, which is learning. The end goal should be that your students are learning. It can be through songs, through movies, you can bring a variety of resources. That's why being resourceful is so important, because your end goal shouldn't be necessarily teaching. but should be that the students are learning. Of course, for them to learn, you will have to teach or show something or be a facilitator in a way, but your end goal should be that they are learning. That should be all the teachers' end goal, everyone's end goal. So what I have to say is, find a balance, consider the things that were presented to us as teachers throughout history, because when it comes to education, a lot of things has changed and a lot of things are still to change, because education, as any other job, is constantly evolving and changing and molding into something better and something easier, something that's going to be more pleasant. So we need to consider those changes. I've talked about it on my last video, that we need to listen to the students, and we need to listen to the scientists, to the educators, to people who have put in the work to actually see the things that were not right in the past and bring and changing them in a way that's going to be much better for the students to learn. Because again, the end goal is learning. That's the end goal. So if you can make that experience better, less traumatic, because let me tell you, I have a lot of relatives, a lot of older friends who have had crazy traumatic experiences with learning not only a new language, but learning something in school, because the teachers were like traditional, and they were, I've had students too that when they started, being my students, they were traumatized because of that kind of teacher, of that kind of misinformation. And we know that things like that, things like entertainer teacher, traditional teacher, this needs to stop, and people need to be balanced. People need to find their balance, and they need to read and consider the things that people who are actually putting themselves out there have found about education, about learning. So we need to learn from those people. Again, I highly recommend, if you are a beginner, I highly suggest that you read Scrivener. Scrivener is, one of my favorite authors. As far as I'm concerned, he has his feet on the ground, and he's not, in fairy tale land like a lot of other authors are. So he's based on real life experiences. He bases his studies on real observation and teaching and just real experiences and experiments. So I highly recommend that you read Scrivener. So that's it for this video. I hope that it enlightened you in any way, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, again turn on your post notifications, and check my other videos, because if you liked this one, you'll probably like my other videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.